In the game of loans, you either win or you learn. Welcome to the game of loans, where fortunes are forged and empires are built. Your hosts, lords of lending and wholesaling, are here to guide you through the realm of real estate and wealth building. Brace yourselves, cash flow is coming.
In San Francisco, they have ADUs, and so they're allowing like an unlimited amount of ADUs to be built on an existing multifamily.
Los Angeles.
Yeah. And to create more housing. So people are changing like the retail and like commercial spaces downstairs to ADUs and selling them as like apartments or, they can't sell them as individual units, but they're using them for rental cash flow. And then they're building additional units off the back, so there's a lot of
There's housing shortage.
Yeah. A lot of these guys are buying 2 to 4 unit, like duplex, triplex, quadplexes. And in some cases, they can build up to 4 additional units on that same property. And, the rents on them are the same in most cases as just an apartment. Right. And so you could double the cash flow. And ADUs probably cost, half of what a single family or multifamily structure is going to cost you to build like for like units. And a lot of them are micro units, like 300 square feet studios. And they're getting $1,500 to $2,500 a month in rents. So some of these guys are buying a fourplex that's generating $8,000 a month because of rent control, and they can't get the tenants out. And they're adding 4 units to this property, and they're getting like $15,000 a month just on the new units.
Just on the new stuff.
Yeah, so the property is cash flowing at like $27,000 a month. And so that's creating a lot of value, but also creating a lot of additional cash flow for these investors to capitalize on.
A friend of mine was doing that in LA. Like this is pre-pandemic. What he was doing was getting 203K loans for people, and then putting the ADU
with the 203K
the 203K and just fucking pre-building the fucking the structure and just coming there and plopping it down and fucking killing it. It's making so much money because the cost of him, I think he was building it for like 50 G's or some shit like that, like completely pre-built, and then selling it for like 175 or 150. And then just giving them a fucking 203K loan, and then plopping it in and just making the money right there.
Yeah.
Wow. Every fucking so if he was in the neighborhood, and then his pitch was to people in the neighborhood was, hey, you can do the ADU, and what's going to happen is you could get at least some sort of cash flow to help with your cost of living, additional payment, and people were like, fuck, and on top of it, increase the value of the property.
Yep. Washington State has, specifically in Seattle, Tacoma, they're actually allowing, they call it a DADU. It's just a detached additional dwelling unit. Yeah. They're allowing you to build, I believe, up to 1,600 square feet on the same parcel.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
For a DADU.
1,600?
Yep. And then they're allowing you to record a condo map on your land, and you can sell the detached unit as its own.
Regardless of how big the fucking the lot
there's
is?
some FARs like floor area ratios and setback requirements, but they're building these 2, sometimes 3 like stories high on the lot, like a tall, skinny house, like in the backyard with like a little driveway up to it, and you can sell it as a condo, so you can get full conventional FHA financing on it, and you're selling it, but you just have like an easement for like a shared driveway or access. So he's buying houses, and then he's finding a lot large enough to build the DADU, sells the DADU, and the profits he's making on the DADU pays off the house on the main lot, and then he rents that out.
That's crazy.
Fucking brilliant. That's
crazy.
Fucking brilliant.
Yeah, we've done two for him already.
Oh, we have?
Yeah.
Look at me. I don't even fucking know that we're doing this to people.
Yeah. Hey, I got a question. You were talking about that earlier with your buddy, and you were saying something about a 203K loan. I don't know what that is. What is that?
203K loan would be for like an individual like you. You own a house.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And you want to make an addition, or you want to fix the house up or something like that, you don't have to come to us, right? So we are giving money for non-owner occupied loans to people that can't even qualify, to be able to get a regular mortgage.
Right.
Because they're self-employed, they don't have W-2s, they don't have fucking, they can't show business returns that show enough money.
Right.
But you are a W-2 employee, right?
Yep.
You're making sufficient amount of money.
Yep.
So you could go and you can borrow up to 97% of the after repair value, right?
Wow.
So that means, let's say your house today is worth $400,000. I'm just throwing it out. I don't know how much it's worth. Now, if you were to increase the square footage of the house, if you were to make any improvements, it can't be like fucking pool or anything like that.
Right.
I think the conventional 203K one that's equivalent will allow you to do aesthetics, but the government one, the FHA one, will not. But let's say you want to do an ADU. Now, that square footage, think about it. If you add, 500 square feet in your backyard, 500 square feet at, $300 a fucking square foot.
Right.
Do the numbers, how much you just add to the value of your house, right? I mean, that's pretty significant.
Oh, yeah.
So now they're going to lend you 97% of the complete value.
Of my house and the ADU.
Right.
Wow.
Right. And then you could take that money and then put that fucking ADU back there and just fucking kill it. It's unbelievable. I recommend, I don't know what the laws are here. Do you know what they are here? I don't know.
No, I haven't looked into 203K.
But to be honest, I fucking recommend everyone to put an ADU in the back of their home.
Yeah. Just to have it there for extra cash flow.
Just to have it for extra cash flow and value, right? I mean, you're increasing fucking square footage on your house right there.
Yeah, there's a few things to look at when you're building an ADU. It's like, obviously, like what's it going to cost you, and is the additional cash flow going to help cover that expense? Then it's how are ADUs appraised in your market, because it's not necessarily appraised at the same price per square footage. They're appraised based on other similar properties that have an ADU and the premium they're selling. So in some markets, you don't get anything for a guest house. Like in Arizona, it's very, very minimal. Like I have one property with a guest house at 600 square feet, fully renovated, that does $2,000 a month in rental income. They gave me $25,000 on my appraisal for the value of the ADU.
Wow.
And I'm like, I make that in a year, So it doesn't make sense there. But in California, they're very common, and they're sold at a premium, and it's more of like a cash flow analysis and how they're valuing it. So not all markets ADUs are good for value, but they're great for cash flow. And a lot of these ADUs can be prefabbed offsite with pre-approved plans where you just pour a foundation, bring in electrical and plumbing, and they literally just drop that ADU on your property, like they can be done for as little as like $30,000.
Wow.
So they have these container home ones that are pre-made, where it's like it's like a 200 square foot studio with a bathroom already built in it and a little kitchenette
or a tiny home.
And you can just drop it on a concrete slab, and then you just hook in electrical and plumbing, and you're up and running.
Wow.
Well, here you go. Let's say even if you're getting $1,500 out of that, right? At the end of the year, you just made 18 G's. So if that fucking thing even cost you $40,000 after year 2.5, you're completely cash flowing 100%.
I can tell you from a marketability standpoint, people will buy that over one without one, because a lot of people have older kids that don't want to stay in the house, like a mother, an elderly parent,
granny,
or they've got like a family member they rent to, granny-in-law, mother-in-law suite, whatever you want to call it, or you want to Airbnb it because you're in a hot Airbnb market, or you just want the additional cash flow because, like in that case, $30,000 might make you $24,000 a year in rental income. It's going to pay for itself in a year and a half, and then you're going to have all that extra cash flow, to be able to pay down your mortgage or use that for other investing or spend it.
For instance, if I had something in Nashville and I had the room, right over here, there's a lack of fucking affordable housing of any sort.
Oh yeah,
right? I mean, it's gotten so
it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Yeah,
it's obnoxious.
Yeah,
you just got to look at like Airbnb like requirements, because like a lot of the properties.
Even if you didn't do Airbnb,
if you just want to rent it out traditionally, like there are some rules and regulations. The likelihood you're going to get caught for renting out an ADU, is probably minimal. The key thing is you just want to make sure it's permitted, because if you don't get the proper permits for it, when you go to sell the house, that's going to be identified. And you either have to tear it down or you have to sell it, and like most buyers might be scared because they have an unpermitted ADU back there and they don't want to get like flagged by code enforcement or Department of Buildings and have to tear it down, remove it, or do the necessary repairs. Because you see these people where they'll put panels up and, they didn't get electrical permit to put a new panel on there, or they're not running separate meters. There's a lot of mistakes you see people make. So just do your research in your local market on what's required and follow the proper steps. Otherwise, all that additional value you're hoping to create might not be worth anything when you go to sell the property.
Yeah.
You've been listening to The Game of Loans, where real estate battles are fought and won. Make sure to fortify your defenses by subscribing. Cash flow is coming, and we'll be back next time to help you claim your throne. The war of wealth continues.